So, hi, welcome to Binge Buddies, Dominic Toretto's shitty tuna sandwich. I'm your host, always Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Joel, Dodge Dart Swinger DeWitte.
I was more taken aback that you went with me first instead of
So
Matt
was
Zombie
I.
Dog Dykes.
Yeah, have I been demoted?
No,
What's
it's
all
just-
these meetings I've been missing?
This is the first time you're on my Zoom call in like a different order. So you always go right there because Matt's always right there, but now Matt's over here.
Matt, welcome to the lower half part of the pecking order.
I think it's
Don't
because
like
Matt's
it.
usually the first one to jump on the Zoom call, and this time it was Joel. So like the
Because
first
Matt's
time,
usually waiting.
yeah. So this is the
Like-
first time he got in second. So this is the time he gets his name named second. God damn it! And Matt is gonna be.
Welcome to the underside of Binge Buddies, Matt.
Yeah, Ryan's
We've
right
been
where he
waiting.
always is.
I'm now in the upside down.
Quite nice here.
We have Matt Zombie Dog Mazda Bongo Friendee Dykes.
I mean, it was bad enough when it was just Mazda Bongo and then Friendee on the end of it.
Yeah,
What the
Friendee.
fuck?
Friendly.
Did they just pick these, like, put these names together by just like throwing a dart at a board of random words?
Dart like Joel. Wasn't he the dart?
I'm just happy they haven't ran out of names yet.
I mean, we're getting close. I'm not sure. Like, we even added a movie into this show, so that's one more week of car names I have to come up with, which is getting more and more difficult. But the Bongo Friendee is known as such because, you know, you're supposed to play bongos around your campfire, and this one has like a top that lifts up and turns into a tent so you can bring your friends. It's a friendie. Someone came up with this and got paid for this idea, mind you, and they sold this vehicle.
That is it's a dumb name, but I kind of like the idea of a car that turns into a tent.
That is
to be
kind of
fair.
cool. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. We're gonna give it.
It's better than those shitty caravan things that people drive around.
I mean, that's very true. Anyhow, we also have Ryan Great Wall Wingle Lootens.
I'll take it.
Never
Great
heard of a
Wall.
Wingle. Didn't know it was
Nope.
even a car.
But I'll take the Great Wall any day.
Yeah.
I mean, Great Wall. to
Thanks,
me
Matt
is
Damon.
his restaurant.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that movie. God, if we do an entire show series on that one movie, I bet it'd be good.
We watched 30-minute increments. We'd still have 4 shows.
We should do it like, you know, unnecessary white guy in Asian films. So we could do Last Samurai.
Oh God, that'd just keep going.
You mean, what about Highlander?
I mean,
A
the
Welsh
list.
Welsh guy playing a Spaniard?
Yeah, if we did just the white savior movies, just all of them.
Welsh guy, he's Scottish.
Scottish. I'm thinking our next movie on my show, which is Mask of Zorro. So you've got a Welsh guy playing a Spaniard.
Okay.
Well, that was the ironic thing though, because like you had a
A Scottish
French guy playing a Scottish person and a Scottish person playing an Egyptian Spaniard or something.
Right.
we haven't even gotten to the teacher movies. There's a whole glut of teacher movies where it's like well-learned white teacher going into urban all black child school and then elevating everybody up to her level.
Freedom
bad.
Riders, Dangerous Minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of those too.
There's that one with James Blucian as well, which is just like, which somehow they managed to turn like a film about high school kids into an action film or something.
They did with Kindergarten Cop. Why not?
That Sandra Bullock one, what was that called? Blindside?
Yeah, Blindside.
Blindside.
Yeah, but she wasn't a teacher.
I was thinking Speed too.
But she definitely had the white savior complex.
Oh man. See, Binge Buddies can go forever. Who said we're running out of franchises?
We could just take on themes after this.
Yeah, I mean, we still have plenty.
This
of
season on
franchises.
Binge Buddy, white savior complex. Is it a problem or is it not?
The fact that we have an entire year of it, I'd say it's a problem.
We barely scratched the surface.
I think the title of that series would just be You're Welcome.
Yeah. A group of white people talking about white savior complex. This is great podcasting right there.
What was that? What was that? There's something where someone talks about like being a white savior and like they're trying to make out that it's a good thing.
I mean, Bo Burnham does that a little bit in some of his comedy, but it's definitely comedy.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. It's a comedy thing, but it's like I think it's like something like The Office or something. in
Oh,
one of
that
the
would also make
episodes?
sense.
I can't remember.
Listen,
Uh,
listen, listen.
How much of this is going to end up still in the episode?
Almost none of it, because we have to talk about. We have to start talking about the biggest movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. This movie crushed the shit out of every other movie that year. It's still one of the top 10 highest grossing films ever, I think. I could have that status open and we can find out, and I'll just keep talking while I do it. But either way, this movie was a goddamn box office smash. I don't know if it was entirely just because people were so excited finally for Fast 7 or if it had anything to do with Paul Walker passing away. But there's a lot of different
Furious 7.
Sorry, Furious 7. I had Amazon open where they're all fast. They didn't go with the crazy titling that we have here.
That's horrible marketing.
It really is.
I think they've done like some sort of weird retcon though, because when you go on IMDb, they're all just like Fast and Furious 7, Fast and Furious 6, Fast and Furious 8, and all that stuff now though.
Yeah, they kind of just. I think someone finally went, the names of these movies are really stupid, right? And everyone's like, yeah, we know. We're gonna change it, I guess. Like, it's just one of those. But yeah, this thing made $1.5 billion worldwide. 1.1 of that was just international. Like, this thing was a goddamn hit. That's kind of cool, right? Go Fast and Furious. Because of that, we're gonna have you forever, apparently. Which is okay. I think we're kind of.
I was just telling my wife last night, like we're reaching the part where these movies are almost institutionalized.
Yep.
Like it is. They've got that template of what the characters are, and they're just plugging those characters into different types of action movies. Like that's all we're doing here. And I almost feel like we might reach a threshold where you could have Fast and the Furious, the new class, and then keep the series.
No, first class.
Yeah.
And it's just like a flashback when we have like Dom and Mia as like teenagers or something.
Oh, don't pitch that. They'll make that. Like, that one. That one's an easy layup. It's like, oh yeah, man, that's a CW show if I've ever heard of one. Oh, but just for reference, Avatar bumped it out of the top 10, so now it's number 11, but still really way up there.
Just like Roman is. Or is that next week?
That's next week.
That's next week.
That's next week joke.
Next week, and then 2 weeks from again, that joke will work. They like throwing Roman real high up in the sky. But either way, this movie was a goddamn hit, and it was the first one Justin Lin hadn't directed since part 3. So we got a new director in this one with James Wan, who's also obviously a very good director, has made 2 movies over $1 billion in 2 different franchises. This guy's a hell of a filmmaker. So I was excited to watch this. I was really excited when it's coming out. I was a little sad because, you're going into Paul Walker's last movie, and these movies kind of made you a fan of Paul Walker if you weren't already. So knowing this was the end of it was a little bit of a bummer. And just getting it right out of the way in the top, you do notice throughout the entire movie, like, it's pretty obvious when it's not him. Like, there are some shots where it's like, that's him from part 1 or part 2. Like, that's clearly not his face anymore. Or sometimes it's like, who's that blurry person who's a different shape than Paul Walker with his back turned to us? Like, oh, it's probably Paul Walker's brother. Like, you can see the seams, but I still think the movie handles it well enough that it's like, it never takes you out of the movie. And then the send off at the end is done so well that it doesn't bother me at all. So I think
the CGI wasn't too bad as well. No. Like there's some bits where it's like, oh, I can see that's CGI, sort of like face masking, but it's not overly bad. It's not like, we're not talking like Tron,
no,
whatever they called it. Was it Tron
Legacy?
Right? In my head, I was thinking Legacy, but I was like, is it Tron Legacy? Whatever they called it. Because that was fucking bad.
Yeah, that was rough.
But it's it's pretty good CGI, and like you can sort of see through the story. I wonder how much of this was rewritten after he died to push that idea that he's retiring, as it were. Like, as a way of like, we're going to have a nice send off for Bryan's character, and but not make it like, like kill him off or something like that.
Yeah, which I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, because like I think it's an easy thing to do. Like just kill off a character. Like, if like TV series do it a bit too loosely when it's like the last episode of the season. Yeah. Like, they'll just randomly kill off like the last episode of the series, they'll kill off a character for like no reason.
Or the first episode of the series, looking at you, Secret Invasion.
Not
Sorry.
seen it.
I think it's probably
Sorry.
a measure how much they all, loved Paul Walker, right? Because you sometimes hear stories about certain actors having sort of bad interactions or bad relationships with the people who run the show, and they're just like, oh, well, we're gonna kill you when when you're not agreeing to the terms of our future employment or something. I found the Bryan stuff a little rushed in some spots, like especially near the end. It almost feels like, wait, what? He's retiring? Like, I understand he has 2 kids now, but he's retiring, because that hasn't been a problem with him before. But I think with the limitations they had, they did the best they could by also respecting it. And I think the one thing I would add on to that is that if he were alive through this whole thing and their plan was to send him off, I think they would have spent a lot more time with Bryan. And that's also what feels kind of jarring, is that it's very small interstitial stuff.
You could tell what they did it right. I'm going to give it to them, and everything that how they handled the tragedy worked. But you can tell that the character was definitely going in a different direction, especially with the whole minivan thing. And then, him, missing the bullets and then running off of, the falling RV, super RV. But it also makes sense how they're like, okay, maybe this was just too much of a close call, that he's finally, they don't have to have that written per se. It's just kind of for the audience to understand, like, this is the best way that we can do it. We alluded to this early on. We were maybe going to beef it up, but the fact that we lost him prematurely, we're just going to let him go. And I just think that works.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think it makes sense. Like, it's just, there was no perfect way to do this, and I think they did it the best job they could. And then with the send off at the end with the Wiz Khalifa song, it's just like, okay, like, I get it. You did your best, and then you actually managed to put together a rather heartwarming like send off in a Fast and Furious franchise, which is like almost more impressive because this is known for cars go vroom, and then here you are making an entire like world cry with your little video at the end. So like, they did a good job.
It's like I'm sitting there going, what are these? What are these things? Is this emotion?
Yeah, like
I'm not familiar with this construct.
And I'm still like, I'm never gonna let this go. I'm still pissed off this thing didn't get an Academy Award nod for Best Original Song. Like, that song is really good. They used it really well. It should have been up for it. Bryan can shush.
Was it written for the film then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, especially after he passed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I this is the guy who's rooting for Peaches to win the next Best Original Song.
Yeah. So Ryan just disqualified himself from all future song conversations.
It's a good song.
Peaches is not a good song. Wiz Khalifa's "See You Again" is a very good song.
It is.
My kids heard Peaches by what was her name? Presidents of the United States of America, the ones that did the one of the 90s.
Yeah.
And they went, "This is the worst Peaches song." And I'm not sure I agree with them anymore.
That song took the world by storm, man.
It really did.
How do we go from United States President's Peaches song, when we're talking about Paul Walker and his untimely passing?
I blame you for that, Ryan.
Yeah,
something about a Wiz Khalifa song.
Yeah, you know what? We got there, and that's all that matters. But now that we've kind of talked about Paul Walker and whatnot, I wanted to get it just kind of done out of the way. Not, obviously not trying to be offensive. I love Paul Walker. I was actually very, very upset when he passed away. But I want to enjoy talking about this movie. We said everything we need to say about Paul Walker. Should we dive into the absolute insanity that is Furious 7?
I think so.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. I do not love Dom and Letty throughout this entire movie. They kind of annoy me. The whole like, does she not remember everything, all the way up to her performance at the end of it. I remember everything. It just, I hate it. Other than that, I love all the setup in this movie. I think all the setup of like, everything's fine, but we also have this Jason Statham out in the wings starting to fuck shit up. I think it's just an absolute incredible way to start this movie, given where the franchise currently is. I think it's awesome.
I think
the
Shaw character. Oh, sorry.
You can go.
Okay. Thank you. I was just saying, like, I think the Shaw character is really interesting because he just he's this character that just isn't the focus of the story, really, but it keeps popping up.
Yeah.
Like, so like they're going after someone completely different to try and find him, and then Shaw just pops up and he's just there. And he's just like, hey. And so the amount of times he pops up though, and it's like, well, fuck's sake, if you could just pop them and you know where they all are, just kill them. Why are you playing with them like this?
Because, and this is where I was gonna go. So Jason Statham is the antithesis of Vin Diesel. Dominic Toretto versus Deckard Shaw. You've got a guy who will do anything for his family, and then you also have a guy who's coming after you because of what you did to his family. I think it is the perfect setup. It is the perfect slate of good versus evil, and it is the perfect way to introduce this character. The way this movie opens up, holy shit. You knew right away that this was going to be a guy who was going to do nothing, who wasn't going to do nothing to get to his final goal. He was going to do anything it took. And I love the fact that he toys with Vin Diesel. You know, he's not, you know, you say just kill him. No, he's messing with Vin Diesel. You know, he's supposed to outdoing a mission for Mr. Nobody. No, he's going to mess it up. And I think it's perfect. Again, I strongly believe that there has to be a strong problem or a strong villain, and we get that with Jason Statham. And I think that opening of the movie where he's sitting there talking to his brother, and as he's walking away, you see his carnage is one of the best openings of an action movie ever.
It is very, very. Not only is it really good sequence of like, it's also because it's shot in a way that it's like, this is one shot. I mean, it's obviously not all one shot, but the way they do it, where like you're just basically looking at him and he's just very calmly just walking through, and you just see all the dead bodies. Like the lift door opens, and then it's like there's just like a dead like SWAT guy as well. It's very, very cool. I love the way that they do that because it's very sort of stylized, but it's also, you know, other films would have sort of gone, oh, we're open with a bang and this big action sequence, but you're just seeing the aftermath. And I think it's really kind of cool. Like you actually just seeing the aftermath. You don't have to see, because you basically then, your imagination runs wild. Like, oh, well, how did do all this carnage? And then it's like, you know, that mystery and the imagination creates something way more exciting than they could ever film, essentially.
I forgot how much I love Jason Statham in things.
Yeah.
It's so action is not a common choice between Kelly and I in our household, just because it's not something she gravitates toward. But he does the same character more or less in every movie, but he doesn't need to do anything else because he's so good at that, being like that serious thing, just like the tiniest bit of humor in like situational moments. And I think that comes through more in 8 a little bit in some places, but he plays such a great foil to Hobbs too. Like their working relationship, whether adversarial or I need to just deal with you at the moment, is great.
He's a great villain as well. Like he does that, he plays that very well. Like, you know, we're used to seeing him now in more kind of like hero roles, and for him to be able to do that kind of very cold, calculating villain role and do it very well, it's a lot of fun to watch, because it's that thing of like playing against type. I mean, like we talked about on like the Terminator, and technically Arnold wasn't playing against type in the Terminator because he hadn't really he hadn't really got his type of character there yet, but it's against type from what he does for the rest of his career, and it is, you know, seeing him as a villain is like a really refreshing thing, and it's very similar in this respect, really.
But I also think that the fact that it's a carryover of families and it being sort of a continuing story between 1 or 2 movies, it gives a little bit more weight than some of the other movies. Because a lot of the other movies in the series, it's like you're the one-off bad guy that we're just there to kill, and you might have like some little bit of motivation somewhere, but you're the vehicle to be somebody to beat. Whereas this one, it carries over and then has him as this sort of threatening presence, and you can feel the motivation, the sort of anger behind what he's doing as a revenge story.
It's like what Ryan said, like, you know, Dom is all about family, and so is Shaw to an extent, and it's just they're going they're going at it from two different angles, really. Like Dom always tries to protect his family, and like, you know, Shaw was kind of in that role in protecting it, but then, like, you know, he kind of like left his brother to his own devices, and then after his brothers got fucked up, not killed, fucked up, because no one dies in these films apparently. He then, it's almost like an avenging element rather than protection. So it's like, you know, you have Dom who's the protector of family, and Shaw who's the like avenger of family.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they, like, because we can talk all day about how great of a villain he is, but they do a really smart thing here that they've done actually in most of the Fast and Furious franchise, which I like applaud the franchise for, is they do a lot more showing than telling. So like we got to see how scary Shaw is in the beginning by seeing the carnage he left, but if that wasn't enough, then we see him take out the Rock, and like that alone is like, it's a great hand-to-hand fight sequence. Like you can see James Wan is very good at filming this sort of stuff. You can see he brought his own flair to it a little bit, which was nice. Just seeing all the Justin Lin movies, which I think are all shot and made very well. But yeah, that first camera spin when he picks him up and slams into the table, it's like, oh, we're doing things different here. Mm-hmm. And then you find out, oh, that's just James Wan's thing. Is if you watch any James Wan movie, at some point the camera's going to spin like that. But whatever. But it made for a very like intense and engaging action sequence, and it was just like, oh shit, the Rock is getting the absolute shit kicked out of him. And then you get Elena who shows up, and then just the change in how the Rock is approaching the fight of, I need to kill this guy versus I need to make sure my partner doesn't die. Like you can see that shift in him, and it's done really well. Like it's not just like, oh, more action. It's like, oh no, the stakes changed immediately. And that gives Jason Statham is out by throwing them both out the window. And then we lose Hobbs throughout the majority of the movie, which I'm fine with.
See, and this is what I really like, because Hobbs is not the beginning of the movie makes him seem like he is going to be the central antagonist, and he is, but there's other things that come up. So when they go after God's Eye, which we'll get into, it's actually another villain that is more prominent, and you know, that's when Jason Statham kind of tagged it goes from there. But yeah, I digress.
No, I think you're dead on, because like that's kind of where it starts going after this, is like we make it pretty clear, because we get the phone call from Shaw saying, oh, Dominic Toretto, you don't know me, but you will, and they blow up his house, and it's like, oh damn.
Yeah, that was a bit strange though, because it was like a small package outside the house that somehow managed to implode the house.
Yeah,
they're working on a gas line.
Yeah, that's it. And it's also very fortunate that none of them died, or like, I mean, I guess Shaw would have like achieved his goal there, but he really felt like he had planned for them to not die there.
I think the neighborhood's fortunate that it was just their house that blew up.
Yeah, I did notice that there's like this, like both houses on either side, completely untouched, just like a carnage wreck in the middle. It's like someone just basically took a spade, got that house, and just went, and just tipped it upside down.
That's pretty good.
But it's very much of this film though. It's kind of like you know, you got this over the top massive explosion, but then it's like, well, we didn't hurt any innocents in this though. It's like, you know, nobody died, nobody's actually injured. It's like, just this one section of the house is gone.
Yep, just we're keeping this very strict to PG-13. No, no bystanders.
Apart from in that hospital.
Oh yeah, hospitals is full. They got their bystander quota in the one hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that, the movie, Dominic has to go and get his just in case anyone hasn't figured out, this movie finally takes place after part 3 moment. Like, had to go and get that kind of just shoved in the movie. Like, we're going to talk to Lucas Black, who got way older in between.
Way older. I thought I saw some.
I know. I was watching that going, huh?
Dude was 20 when he did the third movie. Now he's 40.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that. I'm just sitting there going,
still playing.
Okay, so the drift race that him and Sean had took 10 years for them to finish.
No, it was very stressful. It aged the shit out of him.
I fucking hate the fact that Dom beat him as well. It's like
Dom doesn't lose races. Now that Brian's out of the picture, Dom doesn't lose.
There's no way that car that he was in could drift better than.
Who said American Muscle can't drift?
Me?
Science?
Physics? I don't know.
Out of all the things that happened in this series, that's what you get stuck on.
Not just the series, this movie. We haven't gotten to any of the
Hung up
crazy
on
shit
Lucas
yet.
Black looking like he's 50.
Yeah.
I was a bit disappointed that he was only in it for like one scene. Though I thought that like they'd at least bring him in onto the team as like a fun kind of thing.
I'm kind of glad they didn't. I never found the character all that interesting.
Yeah,
I liked him.
Tokyo Drift, the most interesting stuff that happens is around him.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
like
true.
he's the lead, but he's almost also just the participant in
he does come back in 9, and like his character is way different. Like he's just a super fucking dork, and like,
all right,
I want that version of him in the rest of the movies because he's just so like like it's just like I really enjoy it.
And he's 70 by that, right?
Yeah.
By
Oh
that
yeah.
point.
Well, no, he's pretty much just still 50. Like he hit 50 and he just kind of stopped for a while.
Like Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for you guys to see him in part 9 because it is a very, very different character, but it's still him. It's just funny. But moving past that, we do like now we're gonna start trying to find him, right? Like this is when they're like, oh, he's in LA, so we need to go find. No, we need to go have Han's funeral, and that's when things start kicking off.
Statham comes up again.
Yeah, Statham pops up at the funeral. They play a game of chicken that goes very poorly. Although they're both totally
head-on collision, head-on collision, and not even a scratch.
Reinforce your chassis.
It's like going into a ring with weighted gloves. It's like, no, it means you should be dead. I'm like, you should be dead.
Yeah, I love how he just goes with his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm fine. Okay, so this is the kind of film where I always forget, like, going in what kind of films these are. Like, I just need something like this to remind me that, yeah, don't expect any realism at all.
No, because especially in this scene, Mr. Nobody shows up, and I really like Mr. Nobody. He feels like a character out of a different franchise, and he never really fits into this one, but I still like him.
I love him. Like, Kurt Russell is clearly having a ball doing this as well. Like, he's just like, it's almost like not so much scenery chewing, but he's there to have fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that he's so lighthearted in this that you don't believe that maybe he has all that much sway. Like he's there as a support tool, but he's not manipulating anybody yet. Yeah,
he's just kind of ridiculous, but in a very good way. Like even his sunglasses are just dumb. Like it's just like, yeah, I enjoy it. But
is it this one where he has he has the night vision mode on the sunglasses as well?
Yeah, that's this one. Yeah,
and then he proceeds
so
to get
fucking
shot.
good that.
Yeah, and then he gets shot anyways.
Looking like a badass, doing cool things, dead. But no, get shot.
But even his intro in this is ridiculous. Like he shows up, he's like, I need you to help me find God's eye, and then I'll help you find Shaw. You interrupted a conversation I had with Shaw. Like I was talking to him.
Like, Shaw and me were fighting there. We could have. You ruined it.
Over.
I don't need your help to find him. He clearly keeps finding me.
He's hunting me. Like you're not helping. Like, but I still like enjoy it. It still works for me, and especially because like when he takes Dom to like his headquarters and brings his crew in, we start getting this becomes a serious staple of the whole Roman wants to be a leader. But seeing how Mr. Nobody listens to Roman is just my favorite shit ever. This is the one that has like the Toretto, I was impressed with what you did with your crew, but after meeting him, woo. Like,
yeah, I think it is this one. Yeah.
It's like, oh, your crew is terrible, man. Like, I don't know how you're able to do this. Like, best drivers in the world. Okay. But I like that, like, once the crew gets together, the movie doesn't really take a break, almost to a fault, until credits. Like, the way I described this movie to people when it came out was like, you get like a really great meal. Like it sits down on your table and it's like, oh, there's my steak, my potatoes, my broccoli. Oh, this is great. Oh, and here comes a bowl of soup. I actually don't need the soup. I have everything else. And oh, and bread. Okay, great. And no, I don't need dessert, and it's already on your plate. It's like, this is too much. Like, thank you, but I've had my fill and I enjoyed it. You can slow down now. And this movie feels very reminiscent of that. By the time I get to the last action sequence, I'm always like, we're still doing this? Like, god damn.
I mean, I thought like what you were going to say is like they bring all the food out, you sit down and like display it in front of you, and you go, "Oh, that's really nice," and then someone comes and just rams it into your mouth and force feeds you it.
Still kind of works. Both good analogies. They both fit this movie because once it starts, it does not stop, and it's not like the other movies where I feel like there's kind of like a gradual ramp up in action sequences of like we're going to start this little race, bigger race, to a tank on a bridge, and they're flying through the air, and oh my god. This thing just starts at oh my god, and every action sequence from here on out is at oh my god.
I mean, like we're not even halfway through the film, we get flying cars.
Yeah,
that's what
that in any other one, that will be the final sequence.
You go from rescue to spy mission in Dubai to final assault. Like it's just it's just
LA Car Wars. Like and all of them are like end of movie worthy action sequences.
Yeah,
right. Complete with the first one that we got here with Roman's great idea to try to take out a convoy in the middle of the mountains where you can't get cars by dropping cars out of airplanes. Like this was the big, like this was on all the posters. This was all the trailers. This was the big advertised action sequence of look, we actually did it. Like there's a lot of CG here, but we backed cars out of a plane and just dropped them to get good footage. Like we did that. And it's like, the mix of practical and CGI isn't great because the CGI has to be so CGI to replicate it. But when you get those real shots of the cars falling, it's like, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But and it's fun too, because you have Roman at the center of it, because he's the one that essentially came up with the plan. Yeah. And then for all like,
and then doesn't want to do it.
and he doesn't want to do it. Like it's part like it's sold so well.
Oh yeah.
By Tyrese. I think this is, as much as I love Paul Walker, this is where you start to see Tyrese shine, and he's definitely going to shine from here on out.
Oh yeah.
His one-liners come at a good time.
Just him sitting in the plane with like, nah, I'm going to stay up here with the pilot. We'll keep things down from up here.
He's basically trying to be the general. The general's not in the battlefield, guys. He just sits and watches from a distance, from a very far distance.
Very far distance. And just the added like camaraderie between the team is getting so much better at this point too, where Tej knows he was gonna punk out, so he put in the,
second parachute
to force him out the plane. Like that's every time you hear Roman screaming, "I hate you, Tej!" It's like, oh, I love this. Like, it's just that's just beautiful fan service.
But also, did you know it's like one of the guys who was driving one of those Mercedes that's chasing them in this sequence is the same guy who was in 2 with the muscle car?
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's supposed to be the same character, but it's definitely the same actor.
Oh, that's fine. I hope it's the same character. He's like, these fucking guys.
Well, he's definitely dead now, because I think he's the one that like it blows up or something. Because you see like a close of him going, and then the car explodes.
But the thing is, like, I even messaged you guys when I was watching it, from pretty much the moment they drop out of the plane all the way through the end of that action sequence of Dominic Toretto just falling down a mountain. Like, he wore his seatbelt, so I guess he's fine. Made Ramsey put on a helmet. But like everything from the getting out of the plane through the end of that sequence is some of the best action we have in the entire Fast and Furious franchise. Like, it's all good.
It's got everything. You've got car chases, you've got a minigun, you've got Tony Jaa.
Yeah, Tony Jaa. Like,
you've got Tony Jaa.
Yeah.
Like him fighting Paul Walker. You've got great stunts with Paul Walker leaping off the falling super
bus. Yeah.
The bus thing, yeah.
It's a bus.
But just Tony Jaa is just kicking his ass. And
then
they revisit that fight later on in the movie. Of course, it's a rematch, but like you forgot about Tony Jaa with when he made it big with the Protector, and in this it's like nothing happened. Nothing.
Oh yeah.
He's always been around. So
and he even gets a one-liner in, and it's a good one.
Right.
Too slow.
Too slow.
Well, and that's what's great about this, is because we're the fastest. And I'm gonna say this again as we continue to talk on. Maybe not so much about Ronda Rousey, but
Paul Ronda Rousey, she can fight, but
right. It's like can't act her way out of a box.
Yeah.
It's like the James Bond movie, where you have a good main villain, you always have that one badass.
The henchman. It's
The
the
one
odd job
badass
to his
henchman.
Goldfinger.
Yeah.
It's this
the mini
movie's got
boss.
it.
Yeah, mini boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
way harder than the actual boss.
Yeah.
But in
Well,
this
those
sequence-
things, the bosses are always like, you know, they're kind of like this sniveling, ha ha ha, I'm very intelligent. And then, like, you know, the mini boss that they have to fight, the main hench person is always the tougher one.
Yeah, and Tony Jaa as that guy is, woo, he's good.
Oh, yeah.
But then, you know, with this move, but then in this sequence too, we're introduced to the mission villain, not the vendetta villain that is Deckard Shaw. But then you get it's Most Jakande, right? Played by Dijmin Hansu.
Yes.
That's how you
he
say his
is
name. I recognize the actor. Like, I always recognize him, like, from the original Stargate film, because he's one of the Horus guards in that film. But he's in so many things. Like, he just pops up and he's like, oh shit, he's in this. And then when I saw him in this, I was like,
and he's great because he's got that level of shouting. Like, even when they're in the helicopter later on, you know,
such a good voice.
It's
like,
such a good voice. But this, he's just so calm, cool, and collected because he thinks he has Dom cornered. He doesn't know Dom, so Dom just flies off the cliff.
He doesn't know Dom's invincible. Like,
right. He probably
and he doesn't know that Dom has this weird invincibility bubble that he can expand around the people around him as well.
She put a helmet on. She
I mean,
looked ridiculous putting it on.
That hair that she had is probably enough cushion anyway.
Her hair getting squished in the helmet just always cracks me up.
What's her name? Natalie? Is it
Natalie
Emmanuel?
That sounds right.
She was big. She was just getting big at this time because of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So she played Missandei.
Yeah, she was great in Game of Thrones, and
she's great in this. I believe
the only one I don't like her in is next week, because next week it just felt like
she was just there.
What do we do with Ramsey? Like, I don't want to get rid of Ramsey. People liked Ramsey, but I guess she'll just work with Tej.
She has one good moment with Tej when Nobody's like, watch this. Like, that part was cool and but we'll get to that next week.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that next week. But like,
I mean, next week is a movie.
Yeah. But they do figure out what to do with her in 9 and 10. Like, she does become a more well-rounded character, and it's great because she's a very good actor. And I when this movie came out, and like the very second you meet her and you realize that it's not some crazy villain or some bad guy, like the hacker they're looking for is this girl. It's like you could tell almost immediately, like, oh, she's part of the family now. Like, she just kind of
she's in.
Like, she seems cool. Like, as soon as they have her like on the pier or the dock or whatever it is, like after this action sequence, and they're talking to her, like, you don't know us. She's like, I know you. The entire sequence is great. Like, Alpha, Mrs. Alpha, former cop, tech guy, Joker, double Alpha. Like,
wrong.
That whole Alpha thing is so funny.
Oh,
but I'm to be fair with these films, I feel like anyone who meets Dom is now family. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, I feel like you just like walk across the street and he's like, "Hey, your family." It's like, I mean, what? I just walked past you. Your family.
I don't want to ruin next week, but you know, the villain of this movie, Shaw, is at the barbecue at the end of the next movie.
I know.
Yeah, people warm up to Dom real quick.
He's just got that bald-headed charisma.
He does. But let's talk about where is the next action sequence? It's
Dubai.
It is Dubai. I always think
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi.
It's essentially a Dubai, though.
They have to go get God's Eye, which
that's
the
right.
hacker stored away in a thing that her friend sold or put in a car, which then he sold the car.
That was such a leap.
It really was. There were so many steps in there.
All right, we need a really cool car in a building that's next to other buildings. So, all right, we can get there.
I was thinking, like, in that whole thing, I was watching it going, what? I didn't understand that. Why? And then I just went, fuck it, whatever.
And it really,
there's cars flying.
It felt like the movie knew that too. Like, this is so look, here's Ramsey in a bikini. Oh, we can turn on slow-mo. Like, don't worry about details. Look, jiggly. Like,
I know, like, jiggly with her boobs.
like some of the most gratuitous shot we've gotten of a main character in the entire franchise. Even Gal Gadot's butt shots earlier were not as bad as how they film Ramsey getting out of the
Correct.
water. But the timing of this is when we're going to explain our incredibly broken plot. It just can't be missed. Like that is clearly like a look over here. Then it's like,
hey, the plot's going over here. Boobies. The plot's going over here. Boobies.
Don't worry about where the God's Eye program is. Here she is, the creator.
Don't worry about how ludicrous this whole thing is anyway. I mean, like, it's a MacGuffin. At the end of the day. It's just MacGuffin number one.
But I can forgive all of it because when they finally do get to the building, everything in there is good. Like it's a very entertaining sequence.
No, it is not good. Ronda Rousey can't act her way out of a box.
No, but the fight between the two of them is really good. Like that actual action is good. But she has like 2 lines and they're delivered poorly.
Yeah, which is
so
a shame.
Glad you're here.
I actually
this
like
party was boring.
But
you see her like look for a mark on the ground and like move over to the right a little bit. Here, just start punching Ronda.
It is a shame that she can't act her because I do actually like Ronda Rousey. I think she's like her fighting style is very kind of unique. I think it's very MMA, but there's something about it which is just like it's like this sheer power as well.
Yeah.
Oh, she was
with her fighting. Like she's very versatile.
No, and she was a grappler in MMA, if I remember right. So it made sense that it'd be that kind of visceral body combat instead of being it like punches and kicks a lot.
Right.
I actually thought that the fight sequence between Michelle Rodriguez and Ronda Rousey in this one was way better than the one with her and Gina Carano, and that was already a fucking good fight sequence.
Yeah. And that was they're both really good fight sequences. They give Michelle Rodriguez some of the best fights in this franchise.
Yes.
Her fight with getting way ahead of us here. Her fight with Charlize Theron in X is very good. Probably the best fight in that movie. Whenever we get around to that thing in a few weeks from now. But she's always had really good fight sequences. Like she's very versatile. Like you think back to like her first movie with Girl Fight. Like she's always been very good at like in movie fight sequences. So it's a lot of fun. And keeping her own with Ronda Rousey is near impossible, as most of us know. But they do it in such a good job where it doesn't feel like it. Like you feel like Michelle Rodriguez is keeping up with her. Like it feels like a pretty even keel fight, even though we both know it wouldn't be. And I also find it funny to make them fight in these like multi-$1,000 gowns. Like
yes,
this would be the most uncomfortable shit to fight in. Like, but they make it work. And
it's an evening dress for a high bar kick.
Yeah.
I mean, the high heels, like you land for it, fuck my ankle.
And I also like that we get a little bit of, you see Tej learn how to fight. Because when the security guard shows up to try to stop him and Ramsey, he does his like whole James Bond like wah, 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 and then he falls over. It's like does a little adjustment of his coat. It's like, oh, Tej learned how to fight. It's kind of funny.
Right.
I would like to see if Roman has learned how to fight, especially after he got his ass kicked in 6, but we don't really get to see that.
But we see him being the Joker.
That's true.
Him being the diversion was, again, they really lean on him to be the comic relief, and it works so well. Just him, like, when he was talking about before he's the diversion, when he's talking about, he goes, I might have to move here. Like, people just go off and have party. I might have to move here.
They party like this every day.
It works so well.
It's because they've all got billions from
right.
Because they own oil fields and shit like that.
Now can we start talking about the beast in a cage?
We kind of have to. That's the line about the car, right? The stupid line about the car.
This is where the movie gets a little shaky. Thank God, because they have the action sequence to back them up.
Can we also talk about the fact that Vin Diesel can
lift a car,
lift a fucking supercar, and just hold it there?
Get it.
I mean, it sounded like it was really difficult.
Yeah. Didn't even look like he broke a sweat though, as he's giving him.
He had a few sweat beads. He was exhausted. That was a heavy.
Count them. There was 2. Contractually obligated to only have 2 and no more.
And The Rock has to
have
the
punch
3.
count. The sweat bead count.
Yeah,
well.
the sweat bead counter.
Hey, and you know what those sweat beads are? Family.
Yeah.
I was thinking of something like pure nos.
Yeah. I like family better.
It just, this action sequence is so well timed. The pacing of this action sequence, it's, you actually feel like it's a get in and get out mission because of how fast James Wan had the pacing go. You had everything go down from the diversion to the fight between the girls to everything getting shut down to Shaw showing up. Again, he showed up in the mountain on his little, go-kart thing that he was being a problem. Now he's trying to prevent the theft of God's Eye. And then you get the ridiculous cars don't fly, Dom. Cars don't fly, which is great. I really liked this sequence because of how you felt immersed in. It was an in and out mission, and you felt that it wasn't like it was rushed. It was timely.
One thing I loved about that cars don't fly.
I knew.
Yeah.
It's a call. They said it earlier.
Yeah, it's a callback from Bryan and his kid because his kid throws the car out.
And it's the red car.
I was gonna say exactly the same thing. It's like, hey, buddy, cars don't fly. I even wrote that down as a quote when I was watching it, basically going, yeah, I'm sure this is gonna be called back later on.
Yep. And what I love too is like even when they have to get the car out of there so they have more time to get the God's Eye device out or whatever, and they're flying through the air. Deckard's still shooting at them with a grenade launcher on his machine gun. Like, I thought that was so cool.
Oh yeah. Deckard and Dom are on the very much the same page of cars do fly, and they go exactly where I need them to. Like, Deckard knows they're like, no, they're still in play. But I also love like when James Wan took over this movie, like when this was like, all right, Justin Lin is done. He's going to go off into Star Trek and make the best Star Trek that nobody watched.
I watched it.
I figured you did.
Is it the only Star Trek you've watched though, Ryan?
I watched them all.
Okay.
Anyhow, so James Wan takes over, and his first thing he wanted to do is like, I want to jump a car between buildings. Like that was his moment. That's the thing he wanted to do. And he did it. And it's super cartoony. It's really ridiculous, but like I think they did it well enough where it doesn't ruin the movie for me.
No,
like, this isn't one of those sequences where I'm like, okay, this is a bridge too far. Like I'm done. And like, I don't have one of those moments in this franchise. There's 1 in 9 that loses a lot of people. I'm still there with it. I still enjoy it. But this one I could see being that moment, and it didn't really lose anyone. Like I said, this is the highest grossing Fast and Furious movie. That means people saw it many times.
It's the 7th film in the series. Like if you get to this film and then you go, oh, this is too much. It's like, what have you been watching? Number 5, they drag a vault through the streets.
You've already seen the ridiculousness that these guys have already done, so it's just believable that in order to maintain their mission of getting this device, they're going to stay in the car as long as they need to. And of course, the car has no brakes when they're trashing it.
I mean, the car ends up breaking.
Right.
It dies at a certain point.
I mean, it comes to a complete sudden stop.
Yeah. Well, most of it. There's a lot of car not on that car anymore. But I love all of it. Like, I love the jumping between the buildings. I love him getting thrown out of the car, then Dom diving out right at the last minute and rolling up to the edge of the building. That very like Mission Impossible-esque shot of like the camera goes over him just to see how far he would have fallen if he didn't stop right there. And I even like you can tell they definitely added this shot in way later because it feels different. But when he turns around and just looks at Paul, he's like, you still missed the bullets? Like, this was fucking nuts. Like, that even got Dom's level of like, this was too much. And I drove a car through a plane that was exploding, and this was too much. It's just all great.
Man.
Yeah. But for me, at this point, when I'm watching the movie in theaters, when I watched it at home, when I finally did it, every time I've watched it again, and up to when I rewatched it this week, I'm kind of done with the movie now. I know the movie's not done with me. We still have the entire LA car wars, and that's very cool. And I like the drone chase and all of it, but I'm kind of spent. Like, I've had my fill at this point. How do you guys feel? Like, are you ready for the next action sequence? Or are you kind of seeing what I mean?
Well,
I get what you mean, kind of.
I understand, like, we're definitely getting it, but like, it doesn't stop because now we have a little exposition and we see them use the God's Eye, and then they get ambushed. Yeah, like there's that before we get to,
That's true. I always kind of loop that into like one sequence, but you're right. That's totally different. Yeah.
Because it's also, you have exposition about the use of God's Eye, Jakande coming and getting God's Eye, and then you have the setup for the finale and Mr. Nobody getting shot.
Yeah.
He's like, I already have my exit, which again, that sequence is my favorite. When he puts on his glasses and just doing headshots, that's so Kurt Russell without being Kurt Russell. So I just thought that was a perfect homage. But yes, I can see how you get that fatigue, but I think that they had to do that because of the exposition that they wanted to do with Bryan was no longer possible. So they had to lay in more action without him. And that's why you get more things that they can move fast. So if they have to put his brothers in his place, they can do that with quick edits, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. It doesn't help feel that fatigue any less. Like it's still like when I'm watching them fight off the drone and like throwing Ramsey between cars, which we can talk about in a second. Like it's still all great, but I'm still just like, I could have used an intermission. Like I'm a little tired at this point.
I think this is part where Han's kind of missing from the equation a little bit, because his relationship with, and I can't remember her in
Giselle.
movie name,
Giselle.
Yeah. Her relationship with him was always like a good tapering off moment. We're going to calm things down a little bit, have things be a little more grounded and relationship focused. And it doesn't feel like that often that they're having those relationship moments between each character. And that I think that messes with there should be peaks and valleys in storytelling. And if your middle ground is just, to your point, up to 11, then you don't have the kind of drama escalation that you might need. And even if you don't, everybody in the series now that's family, you feel is kind of impervious to real danger at this point. And even if you have that, you can have tense moments where your mind tries to trick you into thinking like, oh, there's a little nagging thing where this is really dangerous. But I never really felt that kind of tension through most of this end part.
Just to back you up, Joel, like you're absolutely right. I mean, you go from, rescue to, waiting in Abu Dhabi, and then Abu Dhabi, and then you're back down, and then ambush, and then from ambush you go right into downtown Los Angeles. Like there's really it's quick exposition, and I don't know. It's just hard to. At this point, you're just so used to these movies being action sequences. You don't really need an explanation of what the mission is. You have God's Eye, which can track anybody, anywhere. And Ramsey is the one who did it. Jakande is the one who's after it. And Shaw is the one who's going to try to disturb that. And that's how Shaw and Jakande essentially come together. The enemy of my enemy is my friends. And that's where you get that with the ambush, is you see that Shaw is working with Jakande because he wants to get closer to Dom, which again makes Shaw the better villain. So it's just all this lead up to this final big action sequence. And let's not forget, The Rock is nowhere to be found in the entirety of the movie. He's out of commission. He has got a cast on. He plays a role in the beginning when he gets his ass kicked, and then he plays a role in the end when he does the ass kicking. It's a weird movie, but it still works.
Yeah, because like out of context of watching this all in one go and kind of getting a little fatigued, like if you just turn on that last LA like car war sequence, which is what I'm calling it, it's very well done. Like the entire chase is great. The way they have to like throw Ramsey between cars is totally unbelievable, but I still enjoy it, like because they do it well enough where it's like, oh, it's kind of fun. Like it's a cool idea. Obviously, it wouldn't work, but I enjoy it enough.
All the different side missions going on.
Whether it's just like chaos.
Bryan versus Tony Jaa, or Shaw versus Dom, or The Rock seeing all the destruction and going after Jakande.
Daddy's got to go to work line is great.
Yeah,
like him flexing out of the cast is great. Like,
that was a cool moment.
My one issue with that is like, why does he have full tactical gear and his hand cannon in the hospital? Like
because he's Hobbs.
It just makes me laugh. Like,
man.
Yeah.
What I would have loved to have seen is just one line of a nurse going, you can't have that stuff in here, sir.
Would you be the nurse that wanted to say that to that guy?
Yes.
His response would be so chauvinistic and terrible. It'd just be like,
yes.
Woman, I'm keeping my gun. Like, it's just like, oh God.
Exactly. Like, we don't.
Because this is
like it.
Because he hits Michelle Rodriguez with that line too. Like, you bring the cavalry, woman, I am the cavalry. Like, oh god.
Yeah, it's just like he goes, Hobbs.
But just the shot of him just sauntering off, carrying the minigun he peeled off the drone, just off into the distance, just with his gun. Like I love that shot. It's very, very good.
I just love as well. Again, it's like it's a realism issue for me. Like he's dragging that minigun off, and he's maybe got 20 rounds in that belt or something, and he just keeps firing and firing and firing. And then it's just like, oh, this is the convenient time where I have to run out of ammo.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. The fact, so Dom super kicks a parking garage and makes it fall.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Also refers to the garage as
Power
the street.
stamp.
Like
is
that's
what I
not.
wrote down.
It's not a street. It's a garage, Dom. But you know, whatever.
But then it works out that there's a ramp to Jaconde's helicopter where he's controlling the drone, and he proceeds to take Shaw's grenades and just casually leaves them hanging on the airplane.
Yeah, I mean, like, he didn't even pull the pin on one of them. Like,
Well,
just
that's because he knew Hobbs was there with his, 19 million bullets.
Yeah.
that wouldn't work. You shoot a grenade and it go off. It doesn't work like that.
This is Fast and Furious number 7.
None of the things in this
fine.
movie would have
Everything
worked.
is fine.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I'm just remembering what, like, literally, like 2 minutes ago, where I was saying, by this point, you just think, whatever. Now that it's like anything related to like firearms and things like that, I'm there going, no, that would never work.
I do see Matt's point a little bit of like retaining some minor semblance of realism. My break has always been when we did the fist fights. So like I
What fist
accepted
fights? They're using chunks
about
of
the
cars
wrench
to
fight?
beat each other.
Yeah.
I
the
mean
wrench fight.
The wrench fight.
sorry, the wrench. Like that the main characters have all gone into the Matrix style. Like I can do anything as long as it serves the movie, and it's easier to bridge the gap between like, okay, ridiculous cars and vehicles doing ridiculous things. It took a little more for me when it came to the actual like person action type stuff, just because you still feel like there should be a bit of squishiness to me as a human being.
No, they both take direct hits to the head with those.
Yeah,
They're not wrenches.
there's
They're literally bars they
contusions and-
pulled out of their cars. I don't know what bars they are, but they just reach in their cars and pulled out swords. Like they both take headshots, and they're just like, "Whew, that'll wake you up." Like,
I'm just thinking, like, like, the amount of like subdural hematomas and shit like that they've got in their skulls.
no, they're fine. No concussions, even totally fine.
Walk it off.
Yeah,
They're both bald. It absorbs it.
yeah, they're wearing their own
Well-
like bald helmets.
Please don't practice this in real life.
Hey, Joel, what are you doing later?
Shaving my head and laying low, I guess.
You don't need to shave it; it's already shaved.
You usually let it go like maybe a week before you shave when you're Joel level bald. But
I'm just thinking of that line.
New
from
achievement
Venture
unlocked.
Brothers now.
Joel level bald.
it means I'll be like Colin Robinson with the giant melon for a head, or
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
I'm just thinking of a line from Venture Brothers where it's like, I thought God shaved your head. Yes, but he leaves the sides.
That's my Daisy. What have we missed? What do we still need to talk about? Like we've
missed that like Letty stopped them from doing CPR and then talked Dom back to life.
well, she remembers everything.
Oh yeah, after she launches his car and still manages to wake up. It's fine.
No, he fell down the mountain earlier. Like if he can survive that fall, he can survive this tiny little thing. Like he just
Very
fell off
true.
4 stories on this thing. He fell down an entire mountain earlier. Like everyone's like,
And
oh, this
Hobbs
a
is
little
just
different.
as invincible because his arm was in a cast and he's lifting solid concrete like 20
Oh,
minutes later.
Like it's nothing. And his
Yeah.
leg was in a cast at 1.2. They haven't been gone that long. That cast is just gone now.
I
He's healed. He's
do
got
have an
superhuman.
issue about this whole sequence though. It's like
What, the
They
fact
have
they're married?
no. I mean that
the fact that Brian doesn't know how to do CPR because his CPR
He's
would have
a cop,
fucking
an
killed
FBI
him.
cop. He still has.
I'm
you know,
glad you point. I'm
Push,
glad you
time out.
pointed that out.
you talk about Hobbs having his stuff, and he still got his FBI gear in his car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He just
forgot about that.
casually removes the FBI during his fight or before he goes and storms the satellite tower.
No, it's the whole end action sequence in LA. There is no way that a helicopter like that and a Predator drone could be flying around LA without the military forcing them down. So I buy that, like, okay, the military's not on. And then they have a line in saying military's 3 minutes out. And they still hang around there for 20 fucking minutes. And the military still doesn't arrive. Okay, either have like no reference to the military at all and let me sort of like hand over that way, but don't bring it up that they're inbound and then not have them even show up at all.
Matt, you've been to LA. Traffic is really bad here.
Hey, all of it. I mean, Jesus
they're just
Christ,
still on their way.
Those police cars had their priorities way like out of the way as well. It's like, oh, chase that speeding car. What about the drone that's flying around blowing shit up? No, they're speeding.
Welcome to America.
Yeah, that's America. That's America for sure.
Quick question, sort of aside to everybody here: how would you make the Dom and Letty storyline work? Because I think that
not as force fed as they did it. I remember.
But I
remember
everything. I think to myself, like, there's an idea in there about the whole, like, you see all of our history when you look at me, but I only see the last however many
few months
span of time there is, right? And it goes back similarly to like the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, where it's a different Gamora, and Quill having to work within this new dynamic. I'm not sure how you fix it here.
I don't
Matrix
either, but
downloaded like USB into the ear or something.
Because the thing is, I wouldn't want to lose that line they had of "you can't tell someone they love you," because like that was like an actual good moment in all of this ridiculousness. Like that was well handled, and I feel like they kept all of this because they had that one good moment. But I don't.
It's a good life lesson.
Yeah, it is. Like there's just a lot of like that was a really that hit well, but like the rest of it just doesn't work for me. I don't have a good answer for it. So maybe they did the best they could, but I've also just maybe it's. Like I like Vin Diesel in these movies. I know he's not the greatest actor ever. We all know that. What I really want him to say at that moment, like when he came back, was "I am Groot," because it would have been fucking hilarious.
I'm sure we can just edit the version.
Yeah, like when she gets him to wake up, instead of just like "what took you so long," just give me "I am Groot." It would have been great.
Or just like "We are Groot."
But yeah, I don't know the best answer for it because I've never loved his chemistry with Michelle Rodriguez from the first movie. Like I've just never really loved their relationship. And I feel like Vin Diesel really thinks it's great. And Michelle Rodriguez can be such a good actor. I say that kind of rudely because sometimes she's not, but most of the time she is, that she can try to make it work. And like she can, like her chemistry is there and he just doesn't meet her all the way there. Like, so it's just never fully worked for me. Like I almost liked him better with Elena. And the movie wanted nothing to do with that. So
is it a believability problem?
I think so, yeah. So I'm not sure the best way to fix it. I think just kind of letting it roll is the best chance they had. And
I think
really
the
what they
problem
did the rest of the franchise.
I think the problem with like any kind of like amnesia story is when the person starts to like, how do you deal with them actually remembering things? Because sometimes, like generally with amnesia, you don't ever get everything back. And, it's therapy that unlocks that. Like, that wouldn't be a Fast and Furious film, though. I mean, can you imagine like Fast and Furious 7? Therapy. Family therapy.
Fast and Furious 7, working on our feelings. Like, what?
and that's the thing. And even then you don't get everything back. And so I think it's a very cinematic thing of, I saw everything. I saw it in a flash. It's we haven't. There's an entire series of films about an amnesiac who doesn't fully remember everything. They just get flashes. It's the Bourne films. You're all looking very confused there. The Jason Bourne films, and he still never fully remembers everything. Like he gets information. He's told like who he is, his name. He doesn't remember a lot of it. He has dreams and nightmares and things like that of stuff that he did, but it's always just like flashes of images, and there's a lot of investigating done on his behalf. I would actually love them to have done like some sort of Letty spin-off of her finding herself that way. That could have been quite an interesting film. Wouldn't been anywhere near ever going to happen because it, the core audience would be turned off by that. But that would have been a more realistic way of doing it. Like when she disappears, it's almost like there's a film in between there that would kind of like could fit in with that. Like where did she go? What did she do in that time that she disappeared?
Yeah, I mean, I would have watched it. Grant, I say that and I never watched Hobbs and Shaw, but we're going to now. So who knows? All right, I think we should start moving into the end of this thing. We already talked about Bryan, so there's not really much need to talk about the end of this thing again. You guys ready for quotes?
Was that actually Paul Walker on the beach in that in that sequence?
No, that was all shot way later.
That
was his brother.
It looks like him. Like if that was CG, that's really good. That's very, very good CG.
They used both of his brothers to try to get like a mix to try to get there. So that was one of his brothers. I'm gonna go first for quotes because mine was it's reminiscent to like a different Dominic quote, but I like when they let Dom's sense of humor come out because it's very, very rare, but when it does, it makes me laugh. So I'm going for the moment that Dominic has to go to the hospital to meet Hobbs and Hobbs's daughter, which he was very surprised to find that he had a daughter. And the daughter comes up and is like, my dad said he kicked your ass once. And just Dominic just stared at the little girl. She goes, your dad's on heavy pain meds. I can understand if his history's a little hazy.
It reminds me of from the fourth one that
it's
like you hit your head pretty hard there.
Like I like his sense of humor. When we get to see it, it's always pretty great. So that was it for me. I had a different moment, but I'll let you guys go.
So that was my line if I was going to choose a line, bar none.
Yeah.
But the other moment that grabbed me was, I think it was the chicken race where they crash into each other, but then moments after they start a gunfight while they're inside that was my first like, oh my God, this is what this is going to be now in the series. And my sort of turnover point of, okay, switch the brain off. Have fun with moving cars and big explosions. We're good.
Everyone is invincible.
Yep.
Nothing will kill you.
Cars go vroom.
Yeah.
Cars go vroom. People go bang.
Who's next?
So mine is at the very end. I mean, there's a lot that you could choose from. There's ones that really envisions the whole thing of the movie, especially what I said about Shaw and Toretto. You shouldn't have messed with a man's family. And then Toretto goes, "That's the exact same thing I told your brother." Or you could do what I'm going to lean is two Roman ones. Is one where he goes when he's, we don't see him during the mountain chase, and when you see him, he goes, "I'm back, bitches." That's perfect. But no, it's when they see the drone for the first time in the very end, and Roman goes, "First a tank, then a plane. Now we got a spaceship." And Tej goes, "That's not a spaceship. That's a drone." "Oh, it's a drone. Now we got to break it down and be articulate. Like you already know what the hell is going on. Shut your ass up and drive the car." just those two quibbling back and forth was perfect. And if I had to say a favorite moment, it's the Mr. Nobody headshots killing everybody.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment would be the Mr. Nobody bit where he's talking about his Belgian beer and Dom's just like, more of a Corona man myself, and he just holds out the bucket of Corona.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, my line is it's Hobbs at the end where he's talking to Shaw. He's like, "Well, once you dig through 38 feet of concrete and steel, my fist and a body bag will be waiting for you on the other side. So I suggest you get digging, boy." It's just the way that, like, for some bizarre reason, he has a southern twang at that bit as well. Like, it's odd.
He kind of slipped into Foghorn Leghorn a little bit.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So I suggest you get digging, boy.
Like, I kind of want to see him play Foghorn Leghorn now. It would be pretty great. Since you mentioned,
I'll say it.
Since you mentioned, I had to bring up the line because it was just it's one of my favorite fake out moments in any movie when Mr. Nobody's been shot and he's in the back of the thing. Dom, you really got to try that Belgian.
Yeah.
Such a good moment. All right, that was everybody, right? We've done it.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do a very quick round of plugs. And we're going to say goodbye. This show, the show on the ATH network. Be sure to check. I can't talk today at all. Be sure to check out athpod.com. I'm going to stop talking there before I can't talk anymore. Go ahead, Joel.
Afterthoughts is a book club podcast. By the time you hear this, we've wrapped up Lord of the Rings, and I have primed the pump with Kelly to let her know that the next book is Dune.
Woo!
Because we have an obligation to fulfill. So we'll get
Sound
through
more
that.
excited,
Stay
please.
tuned.
We have an obligation.
The next book is Obligated Dune.
Look, all I'm saying is that some of the best obligations turn out to be really good things. I've obligated myself to Binge Buddies. I wouldn't have known about Phantasm if not for this. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It's a solid one to mention as well, to be fair. Like, of all the things that you could have mentioned Peacemaker or What We Do in the Shadows. No, straight to Phantasm. I approve.
That is probably the best example of something I would not have watched if not for a reason that I should watch it. So,
and it was great.
It was.
All of them are great.
They are. Like, you're all laughing.
They really are.
They are.
They're a fond memory. Yeah.
Ryan, what you plugging?
You can catch me at the Front Row Network, where I talk about movies just in general in terms of we do full disclosure, we break those down. But my main show is Front Row Flashbacks, where we talk about movies from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And if you're catching this, we just finished what I alluded to earlier, The Mask of Zorro, where we talk about a Welshman and Anthony Hopkins playing a Spaniard.
Matt, anything to plug?
Nah.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, great. Well, I'm very excited to tune in next week when we start. Very excited for you to tune in next week. I can talk. My God, why can I just stop talking during plugs? When we talk about Fate of the Furious, the first one to not try to shove a number into the title, which I find very funny.
Because
no, they did.
Sounds like
F8.
No, I get that, but they never listed the title like that. They called it Fate of the Furious, but they never put the 8 in there, which I'm like,
I've seen something that has the F and the 8.
It's
I don't know if
a
it's a
European
poster.
It's
or
a
something
European
like...
poster.
yeah, that doesn't count.
Maybe. I've seen something though that's F8 of the Furious, and it looks dumb as shit.
I mean, the next one after that's just literally called F9, The Fast Saga. Like, the titles of this are ridiculous.
Well, wait, are you going to tell them the good news?
Oh, that's true, because the actual next movie that we're recording after 8, we're going to do Hobbs and Shaw. I know we talked about not doing Hobbs and Shaw, but after watching, like, we were going to record today part 8, but that's not working for scheduling purposes. But after we all watched 8, it's like, man, the chemistry between these two is really good. Like, I can see why they made this movie. We should fold it in. It is still technically
because it
related.
is Fast and Furious Presents.
It is. It's related enough. So, and I'm sure one of the characters from Hobbs and Shaw will get shoved in one of the Fast X movies coming out because they want every character in there. So,
Idris Elba.
Yeah, we're doing our own research. All right, we're gonna say goodbye.
Completionists, people. We're completionists.
Completionists. That's much better than do your own research. I will. I'm gonna say goodbye here. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Family.